Welcome to the Pulling Each Other Along podcast, where we have the most wonderful guests in the world share their journeys of who and what pulled them along to their relative greatnesses in both business and life. Thanks for tuning in. The Pulling Each Other Along podcast starts right now. Hello again, this is Doug Cornfield with the Pulling Each Other Along podcast. I'm actually down in sunny Florida. I got a little sun if you're watching it on YouTube or wherever you might watch our podcast. But anyway, we got down here with Dave. We've got my host today is not Dave Clark, but it's our other Dave Stevens from Connecticut today, but actually from Arizona. We have an Arizona connection with our guest today, and she's in Phoenix, Arizona. So Sarah Guidas, and I hope I pronounced her name correctly because I just asked her right before we started this recording. I'm always paranoid, as you know, about getting last names or names incorrectly. But thanks for joining us, Sarah. Sarah, oftentimes on the podcast recently, I just like to find out what our guests' passions are. So if you can start with telling us a little bit about you, your company, and your passion.
Yeah, absolutely. And first, you nailed my last name. Guidas is correct. And like I said, I'm a Phoenix native here. I'm a Phoenician, which I feel like is so hard to meet anymore. But Sarah Guidas, I'm the CEO of RepurposeHouse. My big passion is really in the content space. Like what our entire company does is take your existing content and repurpose it into video clips specifically for social. So our entire goal is to just amplify the efforts you've already spent creating like episodes like this or written content, audio content only, and to really help amplify your sales funnel. So I love working with other companies, whether it's small business owners, larger companies, and helping them create these really great systems around their content marketing, social media marketing to generate real results.
Sarah, try to explain it, I guess, to our listeners and viewers a little because we get it, but for old timers or other people out there, it's kind of like when you used to go to Walmart or Target or whatever and take your old VHSs and have them converted. You guys are taking that kind of thing, but then taking it so you can take old clips, mix them with new clips, make them hip. So it's good on TikTok, it's good on Instagram, it freshens it. So, tell us a little bit about that process and how that works.
Yeah, first of all, I love the VHS comparison, Dave. Thank you. So that's exactly what we do. Like, let's say you have an awesome podcast episode like this one that we're creating right now. You've spent a lot of time already creating something, recording it, writing it, optimizing it, and then publishing it. A lot of times it will just kind of sit there and go stale. The life of long form pieces of content is relatively pretty short unless you're actively marketing it or recycling it. And that's a lot of pain point that a lot of companies and content creators have is, okay, how do I get continuous views and eyes on this? Social media is kind of that necessary evil right now, especially with the world that we're in. Everyone is on their phones scrolling. That's where a lot of traffic is being generated. So our entire goal is to be able to take that content and turn it into clips for every single channel. So TikTok, like making it vertical, for Reels, for stories, for feeds, for LinkedIn, for Twitter, putting captions on every single video because 80% of people are scrolling on silent. So we want to make sure everyone that we're working with, when they're posting these repurposed, awesome cut up clips on social media, they know that it's going to be designed for what the algorithms prefer, all these social media channels. So making sure you have captions, making sure it's in the right aspect ratio, because what you post on, Reels is going to be different than what you should post on Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook or stories and vice versa. So it's just making sure that they have as much ammo as possible to be able to create more opportunity from the content they've already spent time, building.
So one question I have, Sarah, because I struggle with this. I think we have some great videos. Dave Stevens, 7-time Emmy Award winner. He does videos at our sports camps for kids with disabilities, all those kind of things. But I struggle with throwing stuff out too much, because you see that person that's like, oh my gosh, there he is again, or there she is again, or you whatever it is. So when we're marketing, and I call it like we're almost marketing a needle and a stack of needles. How do we make our needle shine brighter with your process?
Yeah, I totally get that too, that feeling of like, oh my gosh, I feel like maybe I'm sharing too much or it's very kind of me focused. It might be like your face a lot, but when you're representing a brand too. People actually resonate more with seeing a face behind the brand. So that's good. And just being consistent is actually one of the things that the algorithms love most. So I would say that is, you're doing the right thing, you're doing the good things. So where our system comes in is just making sure everything you're doing is optimized, because there's posting consistently, which is great. That's absolutely the first step across all channels that you can. But then it's making sure that everything you're sharing is being done in a way that, again, the algorithms actually want. So it can even come down to the copy that you're writing for your actual status. So making sure the preview text, kind of like almost an email subject line, before you open it, the preview text, making sure you're being really creative with that. So like when you're on Instagram, you can only see a certain amount before people actually decide, do I want to read this post or not? Hashtag research is actually really important as well when you're posting on certain channels, and knowing how many should go on Instagram versus Twitter. We help clients with all of that as well, from writing the social copy to actually posting it. But then again, it's taking one step back even more and making sure, are you posting video too? Like video is the number one like asset that's dominating the channels right now. So if you're doing an image, can you convert that image to video? Because the algorithm will automatically push it to more people as well. So kind of strategies like that are where our team comes in, just to make sure what you're already doing is just being optimized for performance for you.
Sarah, in my life, I mean, I've been on in front of a camera since I was a little kid. So we're talking, a TV show in 1981. I've got clips, and there's stuff on my YouTube that is, from ESPN 10, 15 years ago. So do you guys go in forensically and figure out, like, how does that discussion happen? What's good, what we should take, what's, what I might think is good? I'm an old guy, and they're like, no, that's past. We want to see, this or this or this. So it's like, how do you, what does the process start then when you're trying to hone out the best content?
Yeah, that's awesome, Dave. First of all, I love that you have content from like 8 to 10 years ago. Honestly, as long as it's like evergreen, as in if you were to share it with your audience, it's still applicable. It's like building authority for you or giving your audience value that is still relevant. Absolutely, like continue to share it, because that's still content that's applicable, and it's gold that's kind of just sitting there, right? If we're not sharing it, it's kind of that missed opportunity. So, yeah, our team can absolutely go through the content that you have and decide what to repurpose and how to repurpose it. So, um, if we're
Like,
not
for
doing,
example, today I've posted this video of me in the batting cages with D3 Day over the years because I get to go. So I've posted this on everything. It's a compilation of me taking BP, which again freaks everybody out, but it's, you know, I would think this would be a huge thing today to pick up, and it's just kind of sitting there. So it's like, what are we
absolutely,
doing wrong? How do we get that? Because I know, as to Doug's point, I don't have time to post 4 times on, TikTok, and in order to, that algorithm will then see you doing these things, and to Doug's point, I'm sick of seeing me, sometimes I get
yeah.
sick of me.
Yeah, I get that. That is an awesome video. First of all, that would be great for social media. I see it was filmed in like landscape. For anyone who's not watching this visually, it was filmed in landscape. So, one thing our team would do, just design wise, is also be able to edit it to where it's in vertical, so that, like you were saying, you can post it on TikTok. It's the right size. We can include really captivating headlines so that, sorry, Dave, it looks like you were going to say something. Go ahead.
No, I didn't wanna interrupt, but I've gotta ask this old man question.
Sure.
I'm used to TV where it looks good. I've been taught to do this way.
On landscape.
Why
Yeah.
can't lazy people just turn their phones? Why do they have to do this? Why can't they, like, what makes it be like that?
So vertical has taken storm, Dave, just because when people are scrolling on their phone, it takes up the most real estate. So when they're like on Instagram or when they're on TikTok, it will take up the actual full real estate size of their phone. That's why a lot of people really love vertical, because our attention spans are also so short. When you're scrolling, that entire video takes up your entire phone. There's not a lot of other distractions unless you get an incoming text or something come in. So that's why a lot of platforms are really starting to cater to it. Like even YouTube, which is usually very much a landscape platform, now has like YouTube Shorts, which are almost like their version of TikTok or Reels, where it does have to be short vertical clips. And that platform has always been a long form landscape, platform. Um, but to kind of circle back to your original question, we have so many people and clients that we work with where they have this entire bank of content that they've created. A lot of it is like SEO optimized blog articles that they have from 2, 3 years ago. Some of it's like recorded webinars or course content, masterminds, like testimonials. they will, or they can work with us in the capacity of like, hey, you can just send us links to where your long form content is. We will go through it and decide which sections to cut out. We'll decide which paragraphs from the blog or which timestamps from that awesome 20-minute speaker video or whatever it is to be able to return into social clips. So you're working with content editors on our team, and they're essentially trained to really use their left and right brain. So they have to be analytical and understanding like what's going to perform on social media, analytical in writing headlines for your videos, like for instance, writing headlines with "this is why" or "here's how," or kind of even sometimes taking like a controversial or negative spin, whatever can get people to stop in their feed. And then they also have to be able to be creative with understanding and representing your brand too.
So
Long
one of the things,
answer.
one of the questions I have for you with this the AI age, as far as
Mhm.
that goes. So are you utilizing that and then changing it, or is it all not AI? You just use people with your editing? How is that source, how does that whole fit into your world?
Yeah, so AI is incredible, and I think it's only going to continue to dominate the industry, especially in terms of marketing and how companies can continue to scale and really ease a lot of labor that they have. So everything that we do is human. So we're a productized service. So you're working with real humans. So our copywriters are humans, our graphic designers are humans. We're generating captions. We have an entire caption department that are humans, but we are testing integrating AI to get the work more efficient. So the one that we've implemented so far has been ChatGPT, which I'm sure you guys have heard of. So the way that we're using that is essentially to help review the copy that we're writing. So for instance, our copywriters will, for our highest clients, they actually want us to write the social post copy and schedule the assets for them. We'll write the social post copy, which has to be very unique to the client. And then we'll funnel it through ChatGPT, review it for grammar, review it for how can we make this more engaging for the specific industry. And it's like another pair of eyes, almost like an additional editor that's helping to scale our copywriting part of our service. And there's so many different ways you can use it too. So for instance, we have other departments who are using like ChatGPT that aren't for our actual repurposing service. So like client happiness, they use it to generate blog suggestions for clients who are like, hey, we haven't created a content in the last month. We'll say, here, let us go ahead and generate SEO blog titles for you that you can then just write. So little ideas like that you can use it in so many different ways. But I know it's going to continue to take storm, and we have to be ahead of the curve, because that's one thing we've got as well, is some of this can be done through AI, and that is absolutely true. We're still offering a lot of the human to human service.
Sir, I run Ability Media Quinnipiac, and my battle with these youth, this generation, is sometimes they think they know better. And I was just at Arizona for the Super Bowl. We created a lot of great content with some big name stars, and our people that are putting out the content are not putting the hashtags. They're not putting the social media hits. And I keep telling them we are missing growth with our organization because we're not tagging the Chiefs or uh, whoever was in the Super Bowl as a player or whatever, that were in our interviews, Kurt Warner or the Miracle League of Arizona. We're missing that boat. How key is it for those hashtags and the tags and all these things that again take so much work that we don't want to do? Because it's like you got to, oh, I'm already making my tweet now. I got to go look for the hat, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so first of all, you just dropped a lot of really big names also of like collabs that you're doing for this content, like Kurt Warner and all of those. Like whenever you have that opportunity to do any type of collaboration and create content with that person, when you share it, it's kind of your opportunity to tap into their entire audience as well. So if you are not tagging them, if you are not taking the time to do the right hashtags to write creative copy, people will just continue to scroll through it, and it's going to feel like a missed opportunity. The one thing I suggest to you, make sure you have your hashtags, make sure your copy is creative, make sure you're actually physically tagging, doing the @ for anyone that you're interviewing, like Kurt Warner or anyone else. But then any of the assets that you create from, maybe it was an interview, share that with that individual too, to encourage them to post it on their social media, so it's not only living on your channel as well. So encourage a lot of that cross promotion by just making it easy for them to give them those assets as well and say, hey, we created this for you. It's easy for you to share. It's already in the right aspect ratios. You can even pre-write social copy for them, especially if it's someone bigger like Kurt Warner who may not have time, and send it to their team so that they just have it as ammo as well to be able to market to.
Are you kids out there listening from Quinnipiac? I doubt it, but I wish I should have recorded that little clip because it's been my biggest pet peeve is we put out great content and
Yeah,
crickets are chirping. It's been the same with D3 Day. It's a battle of trying to get those people. Doug and I and Dave put on camps where you're seeing a little child catch a baseball for the first time. That should be all over the country. You know, it tears at
exactly.
your heart, and it's like, ah, we
Absolutely.
get 1,000 likes, and that's it. You know.
Yeah, but then kind of like what you're saying, that might get 1,000 likes and then that's it. But it's like you can continuously reshare that. One thing to note too is, let's say you shared that in February, that clip on social media, the followers you have come like April, for instance. The idea is that ideally you're growing, you're continuously increasing your followers and getting in front of new people. You can repost that exact same clip. So you can actually recycle the posts you've already done, because the chance that everyone you want to have seen that, the fact that they saw that, probably not 100%. Like just continuously share those assets too, especially like a beautiful story like that.
And it is a beautiful video. I mean, that you just got to see this little boy. He's in a walker, and Dave's throwing a ball to him, not even 2 or 3 feet.
That's
And this little boy's
amazing.
catching the ball for the first time in his life. And
That's so
he's
special.
jumping up and down. And then you can hear his faint little voice go, I can catch, and he's just like, and
Yeah.
it's the most darling little video. And we've got so many of those. I mean, when Jack hit his home run, we have this young adult who has some intellectual challenges that's come to numerous camps in our Fort Myers camp in Florida with the Twins. And so here he's in a major league spring training stadium. He gets an opportunity to hit a ball. He hits a ball over the fence. The response of this young man jumping up and down, and we have so much of this.
That's
And so to
beautiful.
repurpose it, sometimes I feel like, oh, we're just bragging about what we do, and we kind of are. But on the other hand, what we do is really, really special. And so to get it out there to people so we can get the support to do more is really, really what it's about for us. It's not because we
Yeah.
want to pat ourselves in the back, oh, look what we did. It's because we know that our camps, Disability Dream and Do, and what Dave does with some other things, Ability Media, and some of the other camps that he's actually involved in, and what we're trying to do with the Abilities Expo and all these little niches that we've been a part of. How do we do more of that? And we can't do more of that without funding. And that's
Yeah.
just unfortunately what it gets down to. And so
And
with funding, what you're doing with Repurpose House, what's kind of the client that you're looking for? What's that range? Because obviously this is real work, and it's
mhm,
not free, but it's going to promote ROI
mhm.
for when it's done really well.
Yeah, so honestly, our client that we found is anyone who's creating content strategically to drive it back to a main CTA. So a lot of that we found are people who are teaching in some capacity. But the
Which is a call
industry,
to action for people that don't know what a CTA is, because
yes.
we're not CPAs, we're CTA. Call to action means we want them to do something, either purchase
Yeah.
something, go to a website. We have to educate because we're old. Our listeners, some of them, so go ahead. Sorry.
Thank you, Dave. No, I appreciate you filling in there. So yeah, anyone who's creating content strategically to drive them back to, again, a specific call to action, which might be scheduling a call or signing up for registering for something, or for some of our clients, it's buying a course or a mastermind. But we've learned that we have like coaches and educators who are from so many different niches. We have the health and fitness industry. We have a lot of legal companies that we work with, finance industry, real estate. But the one thing they all have in common is that they're teaching. They're doing this they're sending us their course material, they're sending us their webinars, they're sending us their speaker videos. Their whole purpose, how they're generating revenue in their company, is through education. And for our actual service, we have 4 different plans, and we just launched our fourth one, which is really exciting. It's our Express plan, which is our lowest plan. We did it because AI is becoming so popular and because we know the market is so up in the air right now, but people still need a solution for social. It's really our overnight plan where all we do is repurpose something into the vertical asset. for you to use for TikTok, Reels, Instagram, Shorts, all the ones that are booming right now. But we have plans that are very DIY, like you tell us exactly how you want stuff repurposed, up to we will delegate everything internally. We'll decide how to repurpose your content. We'll actually post it on social for you as well. So it just depends too on how involved or not involved people want to be. But
And what's that price range? Like, if you can give us ballpark, low, high? Because again, corporations can afford it, and a lot of our listeners can afford it. So what are we talking at?
yeah, so our lowest barrier plan, the Express plan, is $249 per month as of right now. And then our highest plan starts at $13.99 per month, where we're actually posting on social media for you. And that $13.99 per month plan starts at 19 social media posts per week. Yeah.
And that's going to go out to numerous social medias, and obviously you'll work within the brand.
Yeah, it'll be every single channel. And we encourage, because we get a lot of clients who come on to, it's called our Elite Solution. And they say, we don't even post on Twitter. Let us do it for you. Let's just test and see if it works, because we'll post on every single platform for you.
Right. And for that, for that kind of money, they basically, the kind of people that you're bringing in, they really only need probably 1 or 2 sales, so to speak, to cover that marketing cost and that expense.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
And Sarah, take us back to the 3 days of social media when you were young and you got started. I mean, how do you go from marketing director for yoga and all the things that you've done, coming from NAU and, all those kind of things to get where you got? Like, what's your superhero story that got you where you are?
Thank you, Dave. So yeah, I graduated from NAU and I was an English major. And I can't tell you how supportive my parents were. I was in college with so many other English majors who were so worried about never being able to find a job aside from teaching outside of college. And I was just so determined to be able to find some type of career path for myself, even though I was an English major, and be able to create something amazing. So I studied English and I did a minor in PR, public relations. And that's where I really started to learn about the difference in very analytical and creative writing. My first job outside of graduating was at an SEO company. It was an agency here in Phoenix, and they kind of evolved and slowly became more marketing. They started to get into social media marketing and SEO copywriting for clients. And I was one of the people who got to do all of that for clients. So I really got to kind of combine what I went to school for, which was great, and what was actually becoming really big in the marketing world. From there, I transitioned to another marketing agency where I was the marketing director, and I was in charge of all of their lead gen. So making sure we're getting new business, staying in front of clients. And they were very niche in the fitness marketing space. So I got to learn a lot about the yoga studios you're talking about, all of that. And through that, though, it was a startup, and I really realized that I loved the operation side of things. When you're a marketing director in a startup, you're wearing all the hats. I was still doing interviews like recruiting. I was doing HR. I was doing product development, all of it. And I really, really loved that. So one of my mentors at the time really knew that I wanted to get into ops. And she came to me and she's like, hey, I have this crazy idea. I want to start this company where all we do is take podcast episodes and repurpose it into clips for social media. And she was like, but I need a partner essentially to come in to help me start this. She wanted someone to handle the ops side. And I was like, this sounds like a really great opportunity. I have experience in the startup life. I have experience in marketing. I have experience in ops, and I want to lean into that. So originally, what was RepurposeHouse was called Podcast Memes. And our owner and founder is Shayna Weisinger. And I can't be more grateful for everything that I learned from her, the opportunities she helped create for me. So we started Podcast Memes. She started Podcast Memes. I got to help her grow it, rebranded as RepurposeHouse. That was in 2018. And then last year in October, so in 2022, RepurposeHouse got acquired. I stepped in as the CEO, and it's just been awesome to have the additional support from new ownership as well to continue to scale and grow. So pretty cool. It's been fun.
Now, you said another acronym, NAU, and I have to come in here because I have a connection to NAU. And when my son is a coach at Northern Arizona University, and when I first heard the NAU, I'm like, what school? Where is he going? And then now, for those that don't know, my son's been a coach at Northern Arizona in the track and cross country world, and I think they've won 6 national championships. So he picked a very good school to go to, and that's not like at the D3 or D2 level. It's literally at the highest level. And so congrats to my son for doing that. And I didn't even know what NAU was, so that's why I wanted to make sure people know Northern Arizona University. And I love going to Flagstaff, but I also have 4 grandkids there now, so I have even an extra excuse to get there. So
Their
Sarah,
basketball teams, Sarah, they let us down again. The girls were supposed to win the conference and go to the NCAA tournament. The men were a couple buckets away. So, man, what's it going to take to get those Lumberjacks into the tournament?
I know, the Lumberjacks.
a better axe. They need a sharper axe or something.
There you go.
Thank God they have your son, Doug, to have some credibility in the sports world. So.
Well, it's more than credibility. I mean, if I have my NAU sweatshirt or something on, I'm at a track meet and people look at me, NAU, how do you connect it to NAU? And I'm like, well, my son coaches there. Really? I mean, it's in the track world, it's actually gives me credibility, even though I had nothing to do with it other than I had him as my son. So, but very cool. And so great to connect with you. I know we talked a few weeks ago, Sarah, but is there any last bit of information or some knowledge that you would like to share from your young business experience that would help our Pulling Each Other Along podcast audience?
Yeah, I think it's actually something, Doug, that you brought up earlier in our conversation about, sometimes you have that feeling of like you're almost sharing too much or it's too me focused on social media. But the stories that you guys are talking about, like that kid catching his first ball, for instance, like in my opinion, social media needs more stories and presence like that. The world of social media, it's very easy to get feel like you're kind of being dragged down by comparison on social. The influencer perspective has just exploded, and social media is not always a place that feels super positive. So stories like yours and having that confidence and remembering the importance of people seeing messages like that, people seeing other experiences like that, that is what is going to keep social media a special place. And just, it's important to continue to remind yourself to just share it. People are going to enjoy it and like it, and it is important, especially in this sector.
Sarah, what's the future of social media? Because, we're hearing about the TikTok battles with the government, and, we've lived in an era where MySpace was supposed to be the thing, and, before your time, and then it went away. We've watched other platforms that were live that have kind of dissolved and been taken away. So what's the future of social media as far as, and how do you stay in front of that?
Yeah, as for the exact future, I don't know. But the best tip that I can give for you to prepare for the future of social media is not to romanticize one specific platform. Don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Don't get too attached or fall in love with just TikTok or just Reels. We know that things move really, really fast in social media. So it could be any day that a new platform pops up and it completely absolves things for Facebook or for Twitter. And if you have all of your marketing or all of your focus in one of those platforms and it becomes dominated by something else, don't romanticize or get too attached to one platform. Make sure you're spreading everything you can across all the platforms. And when new solutions do come up, don't be afraid to test it either.
That's great, Sarah. I think that's great advice for us. So, I mean, we're getting like a free lesson here. So, and us old guys, as we say, I've been learning a lot from the 20 and 30-year-old business folks in the last year as we've pivoted and how we raise money. And so it's amazing that this is all a part of it. And it's all new. I mean, think about it. I grew up with a rotary phone when I was a child, now I walk around with this very, very expensive iPhone that can do just about anything. So we're in a very different world. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for pulling people along in the IT world. We'll put your RepurposeHouse website in our comments, and I'll let them find out how they can get a hold of you through LinkedIn, and let's stay in touch. Obviously we would love to do some more business with you as well.
That sounds great. Thank you guys both so much for having me. It's been amazing.
And thanks for joining us on the Pulling Each Other Along podcast. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Pulling Each Other Along podcast. If you were inspired today, please share this episode and let us know in the comments section. Don't forget to thank and let those great people in your life know how they pulled you along.